Welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading channel with Professor DIY, Mrs. DIY, and Alpida. In this channel we do a lot of fun projects, we do custom builds. Today, for example, we're going to build this cabinet on casters.
Mobile laser cart.
Cabinet on casters to move our laser. Yes, that's a better term. So we always show you everything you need to do to make a build, and we answer questions if you have any question on something that we did not go over in detail. We are very happy that you're visiting with us today, and if today is your birthday, we want to wish you a very happy birthday. Here we are in our office, and where we have set the laser, and we do not want it there. We want it to move for a couple of reasons. We don't want it to be a permanent fixture here, visible all the time. And also, we want it on a mobile station because if we need to cut something here that is a little toxic, like acrylic or anything with paint on it, we do not have the ventilation here. I have a little bit of a filter, but we don't have the ventilation for something toxic. We can only really burn wood here. So some time ago, I bought this, which I really like, and we're going to, of course, use it. We're not going to throw it away. We didn't make this, and I really like it. But the problem is that your son here was not paying attention, and the distance that we have when this is under the desk is not enough to clear the laser with the module on it. Mm-hmm. So we need something to be lower than that. And when I didn't realize we didn't have the distance, I went out and bought this nice piece of birch ply, because of course the little tray was not wide enough to put the laser on. So I decided to buy 3 more pieces of this ply, and we're going to build a little mobile cabinet on plastic casters that we can move around. And not only that will allow us to put the laser under there, but also make it totally mobile, that we can go on the deck, for example, if we need to burn, let's say, acrylics or paint or plastics. And another reason is here, this terminates, like we cannot go past there because it's hitting the wall. So we cannot use the full movement of the laser. So on something like this, we won't have that limitation. And we'll also be able to put things from the sides. It will just give us a lot of flexibility. Today we're going to build this mobile stand for our laser. So we purchased some casters. They're fairly inexpensive, around $10, $12. And I wanted them clear because most of the time these will live inside. I didn't want like a red or a green or a blue color. And they are full swivel casters. And I think this will be wonderful for our design. So this will be extremely mobile and legit. Legit.
So we needed to, figure out what dimension we wanted the uprights of our cabinet to be. So one of the first things is we had to measure the distance between, the table or flat surface and how high the module goes. So that turns out for us to be 7 inches.
So you need to do that for your laser, right?
Right, to accommodate the laser to go under the table. Then we needed to measure the distance here with the board next to it that we're going to use at 7 inches. So we put the board next to the measuring tape, made a mark at 7 inches.
And that's only important if, like us, you want this to go under something.
Yeah,
right?
It's got to go fully underneath. So that's great. And then we also had to account for the height of the casters that we're going to use, which for us comes to just about 2 1/4 inches. So we rounded up to 3. And so we went from the first mark here and added an additional 3 inches. So this is the final dimension here, which comes to about 6 3/4. We've got to take off of the piece for it to fully go underneath with the casters and with the module on top.
Okay.
So many times we have been beat by assuming that something we bought in the store is dimensionally the same, right? We've made mistakes because of that. So we put our 4 boards here, the one we had and the 3 we purchased.
This is the one we had.
And they're supposed to be square. So the easiest way to know that the dimension is what you want, since their square is rotated 45 degrees, and if it still matches, we know everything is square and everything is the same. And again, it doesn't have to be absolute math. If you're 1/32 off, that's fine for this project, right? It doesn't have to be 100% perfect match.
But we don't want like several inches,
Right.
or even 1 inch would be totally
Unacceptable.
problematic.
Yes. As always, stick around, follow us in the shop, and we're going to show you every step of the way. So we're going to start by cutting the two short pieces. The two factors that contribute to the best cut in the table saw is a steady feed rate and a good blade. If you have those two things, you're going to always have very nice cuts. As you can see here, even in plywood, we have no chip out, and we have a very good cut without any birds in any part of our cut. So follow those two rules and you're going to do great. I don't remember if we said this, but these are birch plywood, so these are cabinet quality, and you can see it has no voids actually.
Okay.
We're going to get one other piece this dimension. So we have all our pieces ready. We're not going to change the dimensions of our big pieces. And now we are going to start the assembly process.
So the top and bottoms are the full 2 foot by 2 foot dimension, and the sides are the dimension that we've cut those two pieces to.
Correct.
Okay.
So I love the stickers that come on plywood like this, and a lot of other stores do it for most of their wood. The stickers cause a problem because they use adhesive that is not always easy to get off, and you end up with paper shreds and a trail of glue. So this scraper is plastic. It can't really do a whole lot of damage to the surface of your wood.
Or your finger.
Right. It'll poke you, but it won't slice you. But it does a good job of getting up under these labels and leaves a really clean surface behind.
But you can still take some mineral spirits to get whatever little bit of residue is still there, but it'll take the sticker off very cleanly.
Yeah.
Especially if you plan to put stain on it, mineral spirits make sense because they will clear the residue and they will dry very quickly and will not leave any residue themselves.
Right.
So there is a little bit of residue there, and we have not decided if we're going to finish it or not, so this is a good time to use our mineral spirits to clean the slight residue. Again, it's very little. We're not even sure the camera catches it. But you can see the mineral spirits clean very nicely the wood.
But you can see those little pieces. That's actually the glue residue that's coming right off. And then this will dry very quickly.
Right, in minutes it will be done. And this is the mineral spirits we're using. We are not sponsored. We just bought it frankly because this was the cheapest.
Okay.
Nothing special, but they work. Okay. This clip is at 8 times normal speed because we wanted to show you that this plastic blade is actually really good for this purpose. It does not mar the wood at all, and it leaves a very, very clean and clear area. When you follow it with mineral spirit, you have a perfect result. Because this specific card will be mobile, it's going to have some forces as we're pushing it, right and left, right? I shouldn't have said right. So we want to reinforce the joinery, and we want something about this dimension in each of the 4 corners to provide structural support, so we don't depend on the 1/2 inch ply for strength. So we went to our scrap, we cut a piece of scrap to the correct length, and now we're going to be able to get, I hope, 2 pieces of this dimension, right? Of this dimension. Very, very scientific here. But,
This random dimension you pulled from the scrap pile.
right.
Right. Excellent. So now we've got it fully clamped. All the edges are lined up. We are drilling these pilot holes. It's going to come all the way down this line. And when they are all drilled, we are going to come back with the screws and attach this support piece to the side.
So if you try to be perfect, make a, what do you call it, a makeup square or because this is going to be visible on the side. So we're going to incorporate that to the look of the piece, right?
So essentially we're trying to line up the screws on the current side where we're drilling the pilot holes with the screws that are already existing on the one we've already put together. So we're using this straight edge here to align those, using a square over here to help keep that square.
Which is very expensive, state of the art.
Yes, we spare no expense here.
Okay.
And then again, because these will be visible, that's why we're taking the effort to align these instead of randomly placing them.
But if you don't want to do that, there is a way to conceal them and make it part of the design.
Right.
And that is, you can put a trim piece.
Yeah, you can. So now we're just going to...
We're going to have to repeat that after we put the screws on.
We've got a second side to do, so we'll be doing that same process 2 more times.
Right.
And then we'll come back and show you as we start to assemble the box.
Another way to make sure that you have your screws similarly is use another piece of wood, another scrap that is the same length. And then after you randomly make your first set, you use a square and you put marks, little tick marks on where your screws are. And then you can easily repeat it. Or a third alternative is to make the screws through this piece. So you move it and that becomes a template.
You mean drill the holes through that piece and then...
Right.
Okay, well you said screws, so I'm just clarifying.
Oh yeah, sorry. So there are several ways if that is really important to you. It is not really important to me, it is important to Mrs. DIY. Alright, so we started making the last row of screws and we're using the joystick we made before, so we know where to put our screws that they will be reasonably matching our other side.
And as you can see, we just put it on that front facing and have clamped it to the piece so it doesn't go anywhere. And then you can use that as your guide to make your screw holes, pilot holes.
Screw pilot.
I think you've got the clamp over.
I do. I'll have to come back to that one.
Okay. So we'll do that, and then we'll be able to place the screws.
Start the assembling of the carcass now, as you can see. So we have used clamps to hold it together. We're going to follow the same process. We're not going to show you, but we're going to make pilot holes and run screws all around. So there will be a very secure structure in there.
So again, these are the sides that we had already assembled with the structural element here. And now we have clamped the top or bottom, whichever one, to this element so that it stays in place. We've got all of these aligned so they're flush, and we'll just follow that same process.
And we do not mind the ply sewing, but if you do, you can edge it or trim it.
Right.
So here we're ready to put the last piece on, and things like grain orientation is this is the time to do it, right?
So I like the grain to go in the same direction. So I have the grain of this piece going horizontal, and I've got the grain on the top piece going the same direction.
And then we'll just get these clamped in the same way as we showed you previously, where you align the corners and clamp it to that support structure, and then proceed with the assembly part.
So we decided to put a shelf in our box just to make us organize some of our supplies and things of this nature, right?
Okay.
So we cut a scrap piece.
Yeah, we've got a scrap piece of plywood here that is the same thickness and everything. So this is going to be our shelf. And we're going to want it, approximately halfway, up and down so that we can put some fairly larger things in here. And we needed to kind of determine the distance so that we can put some blocks. We took a scrap piece of some kind of wood, whatever this is, and we made some pylons or blocks to put up the plywood on top of. And the two pieces that we've got here that are the braces are different thicknesses or heights from the bottom of the piece. And so we have to adjust for that when making the height so that we have the plywood shelf level, right?
Correct.
So we have a little bit longer piece over here and over here than we do over here.
And now we're going to put the piece on top, or ourselves on top, and we'll show you how it looks like. And we're pretty level, as you can see. So we are happy with that. Now this is kind of a combination between a finished piece and a utility piece. Because as you see the inside, we don't care about perfection at all, right? So but if we stain it, it will look even better. And if we want to avoid the structural element showing here, we don't because it's utility for us. You can use thicker plywood and use pocket screws to make the assembly with absolutely no visible fasteners. And in a few months or days or weeks, if we decided that we don't like it, there is an easy way to cover both the plywood edge and the screws, as you can see. And by the way, this is something we milled ourselves. We didn't have to buy that. So that's very easy to make if you have a table saw.
Okay.
And you can see that looks pretty good, don't you think?
Yep.
And of course, you can go on top. You know, you can make a nice transition.
So we're starting the installation of the casters, making the placement. We have to be careful because of where the wood pieces all come together. We want to make sure that those screws are hitting the actual meat of this support and not in between. And so we've done 2 pilot holes here to help get it in place. Now for these next 2, you can see that they're slightly over this, and so we want to make sure that we're not going through our floorboard. So we're going to use a slightly shorter screw as well as a couple of washers to make sure that we're only going into this board and not past it. And we're going to do a little bit of a pilot hole.
Using soft casters is very important if you're going to use this card on carpet. Otherwise, it will be easy to get stuck and you will not enjoy it. Soft casters is a must.
Because of the screw and the couple of washers. There we go. I'm just going to show you.
Do the other one.
It did not come through, so that's the perfect thing. We'll do the last one.
This is not the prettiest thing, but it will not be visible. Where if we go through, it will be visible.
Right.
We're going to do that 3 more times. We're going to have a movable tray.
Okay, shelf.
So,
Mobile laser cart. That's what it is.
excellent. This is our finished product. And we're rather pleased with it. We might do something to hide all these screws at a future time, but from functionality and our purpose, this is exactly what we had in mind. If for some reason yours is bigger in dimensions, you might need, this doesn't really move much right or left. But if it does, you might want to cut some plywood this way, and then you just reinforce corners with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do not need to do that, so we are good.
But that would be like for the back where you're not going to be
Right,
trying to
you
put
won't
stuff
see.
in and out, right?
But as I'm pushing it now, it just, there is no flex on it.
Right.
No flex on it at all. We might, as I say, hide the screws at a later time. Mrs. DIY, is that going in your office? It's my laser, but your office? What are your thoughts?
I think it turned out well. It's very sturdy. I think it can definitely hold whatever we need to put in there.
I think a person can sit on this actually. I think it's very sturdy. Who could make an ottoman out of this?
Right. So the sound that you heard was actually part of the supports falling because we haven't attached those yet.
Right.
but otherwise it would support quite a bit of weight.
Doesn't
Just
support for-
Keep rocking and you're gonna,
Well, that's all right. No, it's very sturdy.
Okay.
Open it.
No.
looks good.
And this was a successful build. As you can see, we have plenty of space for our laser to clear. And where it is right now, it can actually work. We can laser things. Well, we can very easily bring it a little out, set things up, putting back and start lasering. But the advantage, of course, is that this is very easy to move out of the way, take it out of our deck and laser any material we want that might even generate some negative or harmful fumes, where here we really cannot do that. So how much this beautiful furniture cost us? First of all, it's very purpose built, right? It can fit under our desk, it fits our space, it fits our laser, everything is very specific. Hard to say you can buy this exact thing. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
It cost us $60, and we can make it cheaper if we use cheaper ply, but we use birch ply. It is furniture grade ply. I'm sorry. So $60, I think it is not a bad price for something like that. And this is the beginning of, if you can build this, then you can build a lot of other interesting things, right? How would you rate this? Is that a beginner's project, a medium project, an advanced project?
Oh, it's probably something a beginner could do.
In any case, we are pleased with the outcome. It definitely does what we wanted to do. If you like this episode, we'll appreciate us. Would appreciate us? Yeah, if you like this episode, we appreciate us. No. If you like this episode, would appreciate you to give us a thumbs up. If you don't, hit the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know. Do you want to see more builds like that are purpose build? From Professor DIY, Mrs. DIY, and Elpida, let's build something together.